You stumbled upon this video, not by chance. Maybe you're feeling stuck, tired of trying, tired of figuring out why nothing is moving. You're asking yourself, why is everything collapsing around me when I'm doing everything I can to move forward? But what if it wasn't a collapse? What if this silence, this pause, this solitude was a signal from Allah Himself? A signal telling you, be calm, say nothing, step back for a moment and see what I'm going to do. This message, this moment, this video, maybe it's not a coincidence. Maybe it's your sign. So listen carefully, because sometimes what you call nothing is the beginning of everything.
There are moments when everything stops, when nothing moves, when your soul, usually full of noise,
Prayer, waiting, and effort, finds itself empty. You look around you, and you no longer understand anything. Everything you're trying to repair breaks even more. Everything you're trying to hold on to slips through your hands. You want to speak, but the words choke in your throat. You want to pray, but tears come before the sentences. And in that silence, you feel something. A strange sensation, gentle, yet overwhelming at the same time. As if an invisible presence is saying to you, don't move. Don't speak anymore. Watch, it's not your imagination. It's an answer, but not the one you were expecting. It's not the yes you wanted to hear, or even a no. It's a call, a reminder, a breath from above saying to you, let me act. You know, we spend our lives running after the solution, running after peace, running after proof that Allah has not forgotten us. But by dint of running, we sometimes forget that some doors don't open with force, but with the silence of the heart. That silence is not empty. It's inhabited, charged. It contains more answers than 1,000 speeches. It's in this precise moment, the one when you think everything is dying, that Allah teaches you to observe without acting. Because there are battles you can't win with your hands, tests you can't resolve with logic, and miracles that only happen when you stop trying to create them yourself. You may believe that your immobility is a weakness, that your inability to move forward proves that you're losing faith. But look closely. When Allah wants to reposition you, He always starts by stopping you. He blocks the path, He closes the exits, He silences the world around you, until there's nothing left but you and Him. That's when He teaches you the most powerful lesson, silent faith. The kind that doesn't depend on visible signs, nor immediate responses. The kind that tells you, even if I see nothing, I know something is brewing. And this is the mystery of the divine plan. When you believe you're waiting, you're already being transformed. When you believe you're losing, you're being detached. When you believe everything stops, the invisible world works in your place. Silence is the moment when Allah reassembles your destiny piece by piece, without you realizing it. You see, sometimes He doesn't answer your prayers. Not because He ignores them, but because He is in the process of granting them differently. Not in the way you wanted, but in the way your soul truly needs. And this, look, He whispers to you. It's not just a word. It's an invitation to see the world differently. To understand that even in stagnation, there is movement. Even in pain, there is direction. Even in your silence, there is a prayer that only He hears. So stay there. Stay still. Don't fight any longer against what is already written. Observe with your heart what your eyes do not yet see. Because there is a precise moment when everything turns upside down. When you stop seeking control and you let Allah manifest His wisdom in your chaos. And perhaps what you call nothing, this emptiness, this pause, this feeling of stagnation, is actually the most vivid moment in your life. The one where Allah prepares your soul to receive what you are not yet ready to bear. So if you are in this phase where everything seems suspended, don't run away. Don't fill the silence with your fears. Sit in this calm, even if it frightens you. Because that's when everything begins to move, but differently. Not around you, in you. What if what you are experiencing now wasn't an end, but a sign that Allah is about to manifest Himself in a way you never imagined? Imagine this. You're on the edge of the void. You've prayed, hoped, tried again and again. You've given everything, attempted everything, understood everything. Or so you thought. But nothing changes. The days repeat themselves, heavy, slow, exhausting. You get up in the morning, but your heart remains on the ground. You smile in front of others, but your soul no longer finds a reason to breathe. And then, in a mixture of fatigue and faith, you do what you've never dared to do. You stop. You no longer pray for everything to work out your way. You no longer ask to understand why. You simply say, silently, Ya Allah, I don't know anymore. But you know. And that moment, imperceptible to the world, is in reality a tremor in the invisible world. Because when a broken heart stops fighting against Allah's plan, the sky begins to move. Days pass. You think nothing is happening. But little by little, things change, almost without you realizing it. An unexpected encounter, a message, an opportunity, a word you overhear, and suddenly, you feel something, as if the pieces of an invisible puzzle are beginning to fit together. The walls that suffocated you begin to move away. The paths you thought were closed are illuminated by a soft light. The faces you thought were lost return, transformed. And all this, without you having forced anything. That's the mystery of the divine plan. It doesn't happen when you want it to, but when you withdraw. You see, Allah doesn't need your restlessness to act. He just needs your sincere surrender. That moment when your soul stops fighting against His will and begins to float in His wisdom. You think you're letting go because you're tired. But no, you're letting go because He wants to teach you another form of power. That of detachment. Detachment isn't giving up. It's recognizing that your heart isn't the engine of the world. It's accepting that your role isn't to rule everything, but to entrust everything. When you take a step back, it's not a failure. It's a divine invitation. Let me move forward in your place. You step back, and He moves forward. You keep silent, and He speaks for you. You move away, and He brings you closer to what is truly for you. And if you look closely, this is always how miracles are born. Not in the noise, not in the rush, but in that exact moment when your heart finally says, I trust you, even in the dark. It is often just after your last cry that the light appears, just after your last tear that deliverance takes shape. Because what you call the end, Allah often calls the beginning. Look at your life. How many times have you thought you had lost everything, before realizing that He had simply redirected you? How many times have you mourned a closed door, before understanding that it protected you from an evil you couldn't see? Every detour, every delay, every separation, it wasn't a punishment. It was a sacred journey. Allah didn't take something from you. He freed you from what was holding you back. And that moment when you sit down, exhausted, empty-handed, bare-hearted, that's often when the divine plan accelerates. Because he was here waiting for just that. For you to no longer set your conditions, but to finally say, do what you want. You see, when you empty yourself of your expectations, Allah fills you with His guidance. When you stop demanding your script, He brings you into His, and His is always better. So yes, sometimes He takes everything away from you, but not to punish you, so that you learn to choose Him, even with nothing. And it's on that day that you discover the purest freedom, that of a heart that no longer depends on what it possesses, but only on the one who gives it everything. So imagine again, you had fought for this thing, this person, this dream. You gave it your all. But this time, you no longer have the strength to fight. You close your eyes, you breathe, you let go. And at the exact moment you stop wanting, everything begins to come to you. Because the miracle has never depended on your effort, but on your surrender. And when you finally let go, it's not you who loses control. It's Allah who takes it back. But what you don't yet know is that this moment of surrender will soon reveal to you the reason for all your trials. Do you think your silence is useless? That staying still is a waste of your time? You tell yourself, if I do nothing, nothing will change. And yet, look around you. How many times have you tried everything, forced everything, controlled everything, without anything opening up? What if the problem wasn't your inaction, but your inability to trust without seeing? We often believe that faith is about acting, moving, proving. But sometimes, faith is about remaining silent and holding on without any guarantees. It's about continuing to believe, when everything inside you screams the opposite. It's that moment when your heart bleeds and yet you say, "Oh Allah, even if I see nothing, I know that you have not stopped writing for me." It is this prayer without tears, this prostration without words, this painful breathing that, despite everything, remains turned towards Him. And you may not know it, but in these moments of apparent inaction, the invisible world stirs. You see, there is a wisdom that many do not understand. When Allah places you in silence, it is rarely a punishment. It is often a preparation. He tears you away from the noise of the world to train you to hear what can only be heard with the heart. He removes your human reference points to teach you to anchor yourself in the invisible. He makes you wait, because what He's preparing needs your spiritual maturity to exist. You want things to happen quickly, but Allah does not want you to lose them immediately. So He trains you through patience, through doubt, through silence. On those nights when you think nothing is happening, while everything is falling into place, in a dimension you cannot see. And that is the greatest test, to remain standing when everything seems frozen, to continue to believe even without apparent movement. Do not confuse Allah's silence with His absence, because what you call waiting, He calls building the invisible. He leads you to a higher, purer faith, a faith that no longer needs results to exist, a faith that breathes even in the dark. Look closely at your life. Weren't the moments when you felt abandoned the ones when you grew the most? When nothing responded, wasn't that when your heart began to seek higher, deeper? That is the secret. Silence doesn't punish you. It transforms you. He removes the noise so you can hear your soul. He stops you so you realize you've never walked alone. But let's be honest. The silence is heavy. It's terribly long. It awakens doubts, hurts, regrets. It pushes you to ask yourself, did I do something wrong? Has Allah forgotten me? And that's when the test reaches its peak. When your soul screams, but you refuse to let go of the rope. When you keep speaking to Him, even though He doesn't answer, not yet. For what you're experiencing isn't an empty silence. It's a silence filled with His wisdom. You don't understand it now, but one day you'll look back and say, if I'd had what I wanted then, I wouldn't have become who I am today. So hold on. Don't let your impatience sabotage your miracle. Don't let the void make you doubt the promise. Because it is precisely in the dark that light learns to recognize itself. When everything seems at a standstill, remember, this is not the end. It is the gestation of the plan. Seeds don't grow under the spotlight. They germinate in the silence of the earth. And you too are germinating here, in this moment. Under this weight, in this waiting, deep within this calm that burns you, you are becoming someone whom ease could never have formed. That is why Allah still keeps you in this silence. Because He wants you to know Him differently. Not as the one who answers quickly, but as the one who trains slowly. He wants you to learn the value of the invisible, the power of an unanswered prayer, the nobility of trust without proof. And perhaps you think you're waiting for a sign, when in reality, it's Allah who's waiting for you. He's waiting for you in that precise place, where your will fades and where your soul finally begins to listen. What if what you're experiencing now, this darkness, this calm, this emptiness, wasn't silence, but the whisper of Allah lifting you up without you realizing it? Look at the sea when it's calm. It seems motionless, empty, almost dead. But if you dive beneath the surface, you discover that everything is moving. The currents shift, the light twists, and thousands of life forms stir silently. Your inner life is the same. From the outside, it seems like nothing is happening. You think you're stuck, lost, exhausted. But in the invisible depths, Allah moves your destiny slowly, like the wind underwater. You don't see it, but it acts. You don't hear it, but it breathes. Because even when everything seems frozen, the divine works in silence. There is a secret in calm. When the water is agitated, it becomes cloudy, and you can no longer see your reflection. But when it rests, it becomes clear again, and all that it contained is revealed. This is exactly what Allah does with your soul. When you are agitated, angry, or afraid, your heart becomes like a stormy sea. You no longer see anything, not the beauty of the world, nor the signs He sends you, nor even your own light. Then Allah calms you. He imposes silence on you. He stops you, even if you don't understand why. And this calm that frightens you, this emptiness you feel, is not a punishment. It is a purification. Because as long as your heart is agitated, you see the reflections of the world, not those of Allah. But when the water becomes clear, when your soul stops struggling, that is when He appears to you. In the restored transparency of your being, look at nature. The day never forces the night to leave. The light comes slowly, without violence. And yet, nothing can stop it. This is how guidance reaches your heart, not shouting, not imposingly, but like a dawn breaking, invisible at first, then brilliant. When Allah decides to bring you back to Him, He doesn't always do it with visible miracles. He does it with gentle signs, a sudden calm, a strange peace, a sensation of clarity amidst chaos. And you think it's nothing. You say, I feel nothing anymore, I'm empty. But no. What you feel is water settling. It's your soul finally ceasing to struggle against the current. You see, Allah doesn't always speak to you with words. Sometimes He speaks to you through silent phenomena, a sunset, a gentle wind, an unusual silence in your heart. These are His whispers, signs that cannot be heard with the ears, but with the heart at peace.
You don't need noise for destiny to work. You don't need movement to move forward. You just need to let yourself become transparent again, like water regaining its clarity after a storm. So let yourself be purified. Don't resist this emptiness. Don't try to fill it too quickly. Because this emptiness is not a lack, it is a space that God empties, so that He can pour something else into it. There are times when Allah renders you mute, when your soul no longer produces anything because He wants you to listen to His creation in His place. Listen to the wind, and you will understand patience. Look at the sea, and you will understand submission. Observe the night, and you will understand faith. We see nothing, but we know that the sun will return. You think you are in silence, but in truth, it is He who speaks through this silence. Only, He has chosen a language the world has forgotten, that of calm. And if you want to understand His messages, you must learn to adjust to them. You must become like that clear water again, supple, silent, receptive to every movement of His will. So look again. What you call stagnation is perhaps the most beautiful form of transformation, because inside your soul is reorganizing itself. The currents are changing, the light is shifting, wisdom is taking root, even if you don't feel it yet. Every silence is a gestation. Every pause is a passage. Every calm is a sign. And if you lend yourself to it, you'll see that what you call nothing may be the beginning of everything you've been waiting for. Because in the sea, as in your soul, it's never noise that creates life. It's silence that prepares it. And you, how many times have you knocked on a door that wouldn't open until your hands hurt? How many times have you begged for something you thought was essential, without realizing that Allah was leaving you waiting to save you from disaster? Be honest with yourself. How many times have you mistaken His silence for His absence? How many times have you said, He has forgotten me, when in reality, He was protecting you? You cried out, why me? But He, in His wisdom, answered, because I chose you to learn through this. Look at yourself today. How many wounds do you still carry? How many expectations have never been fulfilled? How many prayers seem to hang in the air? What if all this wasn't a delay, but an orchestration? What if, while you doubt, the divine plan was already unfolding? Slowly, with a precision your heart can't yet comprehend. You want everything to happen quickly, because you're suffering now. But Allah sees the eternity of your soul, not just the urgency of your emotion. So He holds you back. He slows you down, so that what you receive builds you up instead of breaking you. Tell me, why are you so afraid of silence? Why do you want everything to make noise, for everything to be explained, for everything to move? Silence is uncomfortable, yes, because it forces you to listen to what lives inside. And sometimes, inside, there is chaos, memories, losses, regrets. So you run away, you fill up, you get agitated. But Allah invites you to stop. He says to you, sit down. Stay with me. Don't be afraid of what I want to show you. You think your world is emptying, but it is He who empties your world to make room for His presence. And you, how many times have you wanted to fix things on your own? How many times have you wanted to control what you couldn't? You say, I want this to work. I want to understand. I want to act. But sometimes, your will is the wall between you and peace. Because the greatest act of faith is not to insist. It's to lay down. Lay down your plan, your need to control everything, your conditioned prayers, your, I want it to be like this. Lay them down. Dra, before Allah, without explanation. Tell Him, I entrust to you what I do not understand.
and see what happens when your heart sincerely bows. Do you think nothing changes? Look deeper. Look at how certain people left your life at the perfect moment. Look at how certain delays saved you from making destructive choices. Look at how certain pains forced you to grow, to return to the essentials, to kneel more deeply. Do you think you're wasting time? Number. You are in Allah's time, and that time is never wasted. It is time that heals, that rectifies, that repositions. So ask yourself this question. If what you want so much were given to you now, would you be ready to bear it? Would you have the maturity to make it a blessing and not a trial? What if Allah said to you, I'm waiting for your heart to be ready to receive what you ask of me? Would you still have the courage to wait? Sometimes, what you think is a delay is Allah protecting your future from a misplaced blessing. And sometimes, what you call a loss is He simply lightening your load so you can soar higher. You know, Allah's plan doesn't seek to please you. He seeks to elevate you. And elevation sometimes hurts, because you have to let go of layers of attachment, illusions, dependencies. You have to learn to breathe with your soul and no longer with fear. And have you noticed? Every time you lose something, you gain a little more clarity. Every time a chapter closes, you better understand what you really want. What you thought was the end was only a detour to bring you closer to Him. So let me ask you again. What if what you are experiencing now, this slowing down, this confusion, this waiting, was actually the most divine movement of your life? What if, while you complain about the silence, Allah was rewriting your story with heavenly precision? What if you could see, even for a moment, everything He keeps away from you to protect you, everything He delays to purify you, everything He prepares to fulfill you? Wouldn't you say thank you to Him? What if in truth, what you take for a pause was the beginning of the miracle you have been waiting for all your life? You have not been forgotten. You have never been alone. Even in your silence, even in your fall, even in this endless void, something within you remained alive. The bond. The bond between your heart and the one who created it. This bond is never severed. You can drift away, fall, become exhausted, doubt. But as long as you look up, even just once, Allah sees you. And what you call delay, what you believe to be waiting, is not empty. It is the precise moment when the plan takes shape. Yes, you cried. Yes, you wondered why nothing was happening. But every tear shed in sincerity was counted. Every prayer whispered in the dark was heard. No pain was in vain. Because Allah's silence is never an absence. It is the laboratory of transformation. It was there, in your stillness, that He polished you, that He broke you just enough for you to rebuild yourself differently, that He emptied you, not to deprive you, but to make you capable of receiving more. Look back. You see, the moments that destroyed you were the same ones that shaped you. What you thought was loss was liberation. What you thought was punishment was protection. Each detour took you away from what weakened you and brought you closer, without you realizing it, to the version of yourself you were meant to become. You walked through the fire, but you didn't come out burned. You came out purified. This is the wisdom of Allah. He takes you through pain to heal, through falling to get back up, through silence to reconnect. And now, listen carefully. Something is awakening within you. It's not a passing emotion, not a mere inspiration. It's your soul remembering. It remembers where it came from, and the one to whom it must return. Do you feel this new lightness? This strange, almost undeserved peace? It's a sign that you were never lost. You were simply learning. Allah has not forgotten you. He paused you to reposition you. He stopped you where you were, because the path you wanted to take would have destroyed you. And now that you've learned to listen, to be patient, to trust, He teaches you the final lesson, to move forward again. But this time, no longer with your ego, no longer with your fear. This time, it's with your purified heart. A heart that has understood that nothing is gained by force, and that everything is received when one surrenders to the divine will. Remember, you do not control your destiny. You do not open the doors. It is Allah. And when He wills, He has only to say, be, and it becomes. You can lose everything, and in a second, He can give you everything back. Differently, better, purer. So why fear? Why doubt? If you are still standing after all you've been through, it is proof that His hand has never let you go. What you feel now is not the end of your story. It's the point where your soul begins to breathe again. The moment light enters the cracks, the silent turning point where pain transforms into direction. So, stay calm, stay silent, step back if you must. But watch carefully what's falling into place. Because soon, you will understand. Soon, what seemed motionless will make sense. Soon, what you've been waiting for so long will manifest, not as you planned, but as Allah wrote it. You are ready now, ready to receive what was meant for you from the beginning, ready to walk in silence filled with trust, ready to say, I didn't understand everything, but I know it was right. Because what's about to happen was never up to you, and that's precisely why you can be at peace. This is not the end. It's the silent beginning of a new divine writing. And this time, your heart will be the first witness.
You see, there is nothing more powerful than that moment when you decide to let Allah work. You don't always understand His plans, but He has never let you down. And what you are experiencing today may just be the stillness before the miracle. So if these words resonated with you, if something, even deep inside, whispered, "This is for me," don't let that sign fade away. Stay with that feeling. Share it. Because someone, somewhere, may need to hear these same words today.
And remember, what you see as silence, Allah uses to write your turning point. Be ready to look, because what is happening is much bigger than you.